Hi, and welcome to Sixcess Stories. We are your hosts, Christina Gent.
And Eric Ozarowski.
And this is where we share real conversations with our members from 6 Degrees about community, life, leadership, and the power of meaningful connection. And on today's episode, we have Ed Quinlan. He is the executive in residence at Cal State University San Marcos College of Business.
Yeah, I remember talking to Ed about journaling, which is something that I got into for a little bit. At the time that we had this conversation, I was very, very active in that practice. We run through some life lessons that he's learned and his passion for philanthropy and how so much of what he does now at this stage in his career is geared towards just supporting and helping people.
And it's no surprise that communication and curiosity are definitely big topics in this episode as well. It's certainly a common theme throughout our conversations with our members. So please enjoy Sixcess Stories.
I can always count Christina joining me for an adult beverage.
Oh, yeah. I mean, I can't leave you hanging.
No, make sure my phone's off so it doesn't go.
Well, we can always answer it on the air. Put him on the spot.
Put him on speaker.
Oh, honey.
I love it.
So as a place to start and kind of ground the conversation a little bit, we do a check-in typically in most of our groups, and if it's felt right to do that here. So I guess as a check-in for today, Christina, are you sitting with anything?
Let's see. As a check-in, I'm curious. What am I curious about? I always go to energy, and I don't want that to just be my default. How would you describe, not the week, but your Thursday, just specifically today, if you were to give it a description word?
I would say it's been a great day.
Okay. Great day. I kind of want a little bit more from you on that. Like, what is great?
I had a great coaching session with one of my students this morning, and I just came back from lunch with Michelle, who was my guest at the holiday party. We were just catching up on some things. And she goes, I really needed a pep talk.
Nice.
And so she felt good when she left.
Yeah.
And so that always makes me feel good.
I would say my day's been flying by. I feel like I started late, and some things didn't work out the way it's supposed to, which is totally fine as part of it. And now what time? It's like 3:30, 4 o'clock, whatever time it is. I appreciate that a great day for you involves other people. That typically is a good day for me as well. So
I would agree. For me, if I'm having a great day, so it transitioned for me. I'm feeling energized now. To start the day, it was pretty dull because it was a lot of computer, and so now I'm feeling the energy. So yeah.
So Eric, you've probably been asked before, what's your perfect day?
Yeah.
My perfect day is I love sunrises, I love sunsets, and I love great conversations in between.
Long walks on the beach and...
Well, we get into those details later. But it's always, if I have great conversations,
yeah,
I'm a happy guy.
Yeah, when I've done a version of that question, that exercise, there's parts of my day where I'm meeting someone new and I'm meeting someone that I know to deepen a relationship. So there's a new relationship and there's a deeper relationship that's happening. If I have just those two, pretty much the rest of the day is going to be pretty good if those two things happen.
Yeah, that's interesting that you say that. I feel like right now Eric and I are a little unbalanced. I'm doing a lot more of the meeting someone new, and he's doing a lot more of the continuing and deepening with someone that we know.
There's seasons to it. There's seasonality to it. I'm curious for you, how do you balance building relationship versus this is a one-time thing versus, oh no, I need to keep this person around? It's something Christina and I talk about a lot with, as we grow 6 Degrees. Right now we know all 100 people that are part of it. If we had 200, that might still be possible. If we have 300, that gets really interesting. So I'm curious for you, as someone who's a little bit more experienced than us with being in the relationship where relationships give you juice, how does that evolve?
It's interesting. A couple things. I keep a journal. So typically people make my journal. I look at it periodically, but I definitely at the end of the year review and see where I spent my time.
Oh, wow.
And if I had more than one interaction, is this something, so this person, obviously my actions speak louder than words, so I saw this person, what does that look like for the next year? Or, gee, I only saw this person once, well, I'll make a mental note to follow up with them. Because it's interesting, Eric, I was fortunate at a young age to kind of be the boss, so a lot of people came to me, and I've never, I should say never, but I wasn't very good at reaching out.
Yeah.
And when I was working and when I was married, my spouse did a lot of the outreach to get people because we love to entertain, but I wasn't the one reaching out.
Right.
Now being a bachelor and having lived by myself for, I guess it's 9 years now, yeah, I'm reaching out more to people that mean something to me. Did I answer your question?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, so tell me a little bit more about the journal. Have you always had a journal?
I've probably had the journal for about the time, almost 9 years, in the sense, because I started it a little around when I separated from my wife. There was a couple years that I wasn't as good.
Sure.
But I would say the last 4 or 5 years I've been, spot on. And when I say spot on, I've been religious to every day.
Sticking to the routine.
To have at least 3 things. And they say it's a gratitude journal, but mine's more of, what did I remember about my day? What stuck out in my day?
Yeah.
And, 90% of it's people. And then there's, if I had an aha moment, I usually write that down. So that was more personal, but you've asking the question from a professional perspective, you may have heard me share this before, but I'm a firm believer in the 20-60-20. Top 20, whether it's a team organization, you have your top 20, middle 60, and your bottom 20. And I mean no disrespect when I say bottom 20. It's just that great leaders and most successful organizations invest in the top 20. They manage the bottom 20 so that it doesn't influence the middle 60. And they try to identify those who want to help in the top 20 to help influence the middle 60.
Sure.
So in your case, of your 100 people, who are your top 20 people? How can they help you keep that deep connection? Because as it gets 300, you're not going to be able to do that.
Right. Yeah. So the network effect of being connected, I think that's obviously part of it, and just who we are, of how we want to. There's the personal connection is a big part of what we've built so far, and we've had people like, why are you part of 6 Degrees? And it's like, I don't know, I like you guys. It's like, that's really nice, and I don't know how we're going to scale that. So how does that show up for you with professional relationships? So knowing so I think of Pareto's principle, 80-20, right? And obviously the bottom, quote unquote, bottom 20. So how have you applied that?
I think once in a while I have a hard time saying no, especially to people that I haven't met. To your point, there's something cool about meeting someone totally new. And to me, it's just a little bit of intuition, how I feel, and there's no, I'll say, rhyme or reason. I don't have a strategy other than, here's the people that I know. But if I may, I'm going to give you kudos, because I was one of those, loved you guys, I'm going to be supportive, didn't want to join, all this other stuff. And I always believed that I didn't join because I really didn't have an ask. So I enjoyed the part that I was giving, to be the wisdom in the room. I enjoyed that. And the people in the room, I think, based on the feedback, enjoyed having me there. So, when it went to membership, it was like, really? Do I want to pay to do something I kind of do a lot of anyway? But I can honestly say that my experience, because I pay for it now, I go to as many of the events I possibly can. So I've met new people through there. And then you guys have been great. I mean, you introducing me to Mallory was just a great experience. I mean, it reminded me of the old corporate alliance days where people met at the hub, never became members, but they became really close. And it's all about connection.
Yeah.
Right?
I mean, there's so much of it for us is like, with this community, we want to find great people, bring the great people in, and the people that want to and have the time and energy and effort to invest in being part of the community. And if that's not you, that's okay. How can we help? What can we do to support you?
Well, and I think something that has come up anytime we've met someone who didn't essentially end up joining, we will continue to help and support as much as we can. And at the same time, the introductions that come, at least from us or even just the community, are going to be so much more if someone's part of it, because we're seeing you more often. So I have, since you've joined, I personally have seen you so much more than before. And part of that has led to more great conversations and introductions and more people. And it's just the nature of the beast of being part of something or not. So we're always going to be people who want to help and want to support and do the best for the people who are in our network, regardless if they're part of 6 Degrees. It's just naturally going to happen more if someone is a member.
Someone described in a different setting as like, you guys kind of do outsourced networking for me. Yeah. And I kind of liked it. I was like, a little bit. The more I get to know you, the better I understand what you do, who you're looking to meet. And then the way that we operate, we're just, people are coming into our circle and into our sphere. And whether they're becoming a member, it's like, oh, no, you should meet Ed because X, Y, and Z. And the more I understand about you, the better I can do that, right? And so it was like an inch. I was like, oh, yeah, kind of, a little bit.
Well, yeah, because it's like how many touch points, 7, 8, 9 touch points with someone before the other person on the receiving end truly understands what that person does and how to help and who to connect them with. And so that kind of consistency, if I only see you 3-4 times a year at random events, I'm not going to get to that point. I'm not going to be able to build that much depth versus now, right? Being able to see each other much more frequently.
So for you, Ed, with someone that's been here in San Diego for a while, and you have this network, you've been part of different organizations, how big are the people that you want to keep? Like, what's the size that's manageable at this point for you? Of obviously new people are going to still come in, but what's the grasp the number that you have kind of have a grasp on? Is it 20? Is it 50? Is it 100?
It's interesting, Eric, because I've been thinking about that based on your original question, because I've been super busy. I mean, there's been literally weeks where every night I've been out. It's like, no, that's not what that's what I did when I was in your position and running Corporate Alliance, and I don't want to do that. So part of it was like, okay, because I don't want to give up meeting new people, but I don't know the magic number. Yeah. I think if I look back, when I first started business, I was selling employee benefits to companies, so I was calling on the Morrisons of the world agencies. Sure. And I would start the year with 100. I have a broker list of whatever, but I'd say, okay, here's 150 brokers that I'm going to concentrate on this year, knowing that the Pareto, 20% of them, 30 are going to produce the most amount of business. Right. But I'm going to contact. So I was pretty relentless on spending time with those 150. Sure. And basically, if somebody sold something, then I upped their ante. So I had here's anticipated that these 10 people are going to have X thousand for a goal, but 150. And I don't even know how I came up with that number.
So Dunbar's number is like 140, 150, whatever.
Is it?
Yeah, that's the I don't know how long ago that was, but so his number that's the number of relationships that we can keep, humans can keep in our brains, right? But that also includes family, friends. We're just 150. We're talking.
Wow.
Right. So there's something to that number, right? And I'm part of my curiosity is, again, like I want to keep meeting new people. I never want that to stop because I'm a big believer in everyone's worth a cup of coffee, right? And sometimes those aren't great cups of coffee and I get sold something, right? But I still think there's enough magic to meet new people. And at some point it's like, if I keep meeting all these people, how do I balance, the relationships that I have and how do I prioritize, right? It's just a conversation that Christine and I had a lot.
We recently heard the analogy of, okay, so if my network, if they're all on a school bus, and so I bring people onto my school bus and spend time with them, and the consistency, the cadence, and we build depth in the relationship, then I can actually let some people off the bus to make room for new people. And it's especially because the depth in that relationship has already been established. So if we think about some of our best friends from grade school and growing up. Those people, those, at least the friendships that we wanted to keep, are still there. And going back to see them and spend time with them, it's like falling right back into that relationship. There was never a hiccup in it. It's going straight back to that rhythm. And so I think that's possible. It's just figuring out, okay, how much time, how many different experiences, where do I need to build the depth, and where do I get to that point where now, no matter how frequent or less frequent I'm seeing somebody, I can still fall straight back into that relationship like nothing has changed and it hasn't been so long. And that allows for new people to now come onto that bus and continue building those relationships.
Interesting. Yeah, that's I hadn't looked at it that way, but yeah, fascinating.
Yeah, these are the conversations that we have. That we talk.
Well, I think, Christina, to your and Eric, you said the same thing. I don't have family out here, so I've lived. This is my 36th year in California. My family was back east, so it was always just non-family out here. But I go back to Maine every year. The last few, I've gone back for at least a month. And to your point, Christina, I am busy from the time I get there to the time I leave for people. Yeah. And there are people now that I see once a year, but it's as soon as I see them, we're talking stories, that are 25 years old.
Yeah.
I think probably one of the best things to think about this, if off the top of my head, would be if we truly believe that happiness and one of the best things for us is living in the present. So no matter where you are you taking advantage? Are you aware of who's in the room with you? So that you don't miss the opportunity to connect with somebody that's really important to you. Does that make sense?
Yeah, no, I think that's part of the balance piece, right? Is right now in this room, like, this is the only thing that actually matters, right? But if we get theoretical and strategic, zoom out a little bit, it's like, okay, I had this moment with Ed today. Like, to go back to the journal, I had this moment with Ed today. I had this moment with this person. All of a sudden, I'm interested in to go back to the journal piece. So every year, at the end of the year, you revisit everything.
December is a great month because things slow down professionally, and it's the holidays and stuff. And I really go back in my journal to pick out the one thing each month that was the highlight for one of the things. And then I kind of just look at, what were the trends, what was the things, and it helps me shape what I want to go into the next year as priorities.
Since I've known you, finding cause, bringing other people together through cause has been really, really important for you. And so tell me, why? Why is, anytime I see you light up, you get really excited about bringing people together through some sort of cause, philanthropy. You've talked about Main Street a few times, but why is that the thing?
I was very fortunate to the person who taught me how to play basketball when I was in elementary school happened to be the president of the Maine State Special Olympics. So I kind of grew up with the Special Olympics. And I was fortunate enough to be a gifted athlete. But I share one of my greatest sports moments of all the things that I've done was putting the medals on Special Olympians, because their faces lit up like there was no tomorrow, and they may have just finished the race 10 minutes behind the last guy.
Sure.
But the power in that was just special. It hit me. My mother spent 25 years as a social worker for the state of Maine, so she was kind of into that whole stuff, and I think that's where it stemmed from. I graduated with a degree in biology. I wanted to be a pediatrician, and that didn't pan out, so I think it's innate in me that I want to help, and the causes for me is I'm fortunate to have my stuff and kind of share that and make somebody's day. I think I was sharing with somebody along the same lines. I don't know if it's a cause, but I've tweaked it a little, but I wake up every day wanting to empower people to be the best versions of themselves. And I've been able to do that professionally and personally pretty much my whole life.
Yeah, one, thank you for sharing that story. I didn't know that was the whole Special Olympic piece of your story, and that would be amazing to be able to honor someone, grace someone with, you just earned this.
Yeah,
what a life-changing experience.
Yeah, and I was a counselor on some of the Special Olympic camps
Yeah.
in the summertime, so it was pretty cool. And then my ex-sister-in-laws had a Downs boy that I kind of watched grow up. And what was really meaningful, and I guess this is how deep it goes, is when my son got married, he asked his Downs cousin to be in his wedding.
Oh, wow.
Which was, and I mean, it made his day.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, he was like the best, but it was right there, man.
Yeah.
I said, that's my son. So this is kind of cool. Proud dad moment.
Yeah, for sure. And so you talked about wanting to help people be their best. So I think I'm curious for you with that mission. What have you been most proud of? It sounds like your son in that moment with seeing your son be able to do that for someone and make their day. But you specifically, over maybe more recently.
Well, I think my meeting with Mallory is a good example. She left so much more confident about what she was doing.
Sure.
And all I did, because I found out, like, one of my gifts is I can recognize talent, and I've developed and promoted and all that. So everybody has gifts. Everybody has a story. And if you ask questions and you get them talking and you interject a few things, they'll open up. I've had people in line at Starbucks start crying and give me a hug because they said I've made their day just by saying, boy, you got a beautiful smile today. Yeah. And they go, well, I'm having a shitty day or something. I said, well, you're presenting yourself pretty well. And then they break down and hug me.
Yeah, you can be the mirror that someone needs to see. That's something that I was talking to this wonderful human, her name is Suna, that I've been working with, helps with personal branding and revamping my wardrobe and just how I can present myself as a human. And she said that. She was like, I feel like I can be the mirror that some people need to see themselves through. I think so many humans get really bogged down on what they're wearing and what they look like, and especially trying to be professional and things like that. And so I thought that was just a really beautiful statement, that she's a positive mirror to tell someone just how beautiful they are inside and out and help people feel that way from the inside. So that's something that it sounds like you are also doing that in a different way and for a different reason. And it's necessary for so many people to be able to hear that and feel walking away more empowered.
Yeah, and I think that the tough lessons I've learned, in my younger days, because I saw things, whether it was a parent or a leader, it was so easy for me to tell you, well, here, do these, And what I realized, and someone gave me some great parental advice, was your children will listen to you when they're ready to receive, so to speak, and you'll never know when that is, kind of thing. And that stuck with me. And to your point, Christina, so now when I'm engaged with people, I can read pretty quickly, are they ready to receive? Mm-hmm. And if they're ready to receive, this is when it gets good. And if they're not, then I move on.
What are some of the signs that tell you someone's ready to receive? If there's any specific, other than just I'm trusting my intuition, trusting my gut.
There's a little bit of intuition, but one of the triggers for me is if they show any signs of vulnerability. In other words, if they share something that isn't necessarily they would share with a stranger.
Sure.
Like if someone says, yeah, I'm having a bad day.
Yeah.
If they actually answer the question, how are you doing? And it's like,
Yeah.
And
I said,
not so good.
And so then I usually say, well, my next question is, what would be a great day? Or what would make your day today?
Sure, reframe, try to help them reframe it.
And that's when they get a smile,
yeah.
But that's somebody that's an example of they're ready to receive.
It's interesting.
Same way with students that I coach.
I was gonna go to the student part. I would imagine for you to have, fresh crop of students come through and be able to have that dynamic would be very fulfilling for someone like you, if that's the mission that you're on. Help them be their best, right?
Oh yeah, to see the growth in some of these students from the beginning of the semester to the end is fascinating. When you share things with them with empowerment and they actually take the actions and do stuff, and then they're amazed that, oh my God, Coach, this is great. It's so fulfilling. And it's interesting because a lot of my peers, and I may have shared this with you guys, oh, you just got to give back. And I'm arguing, I'm not giving back. I'm getting as much from them as I believe they're getting from me.
Sure.
And so I'm learning so much of how the world's working and the next workforce and, the stresses that these students and kids, because again, Cal State San Marcos, 52% of them are first-generation college students.
Yeah.
And I was a first-generation college student. So I get so much from them. And that's why, no, I'm not doing this to give back. This is a win-win.
Yeah. So much of what you do and what you get to do with your time when we talk is like, yeah, I'm living the dream, right?
I am living the dream. Pinch me now.
I guess to go back to put on your CEO hat for us and go back there, what advice would you give us at this point, knowing what you know about Christina and I and 6 Degrees and what you've seen as a business owner?
As a business owner, I'll start with what the students ask me, as a leader, what were my priorities? First and foremost, I said people first. So obviously right now it's just you two, but if you expand the people you have, it's the classic, how can I help them today? So for you two, it's how can I help each other today, number one. Number two is your clients, which in your case happens to be people. What's the focus? And then the third thing is how am I adding value to my clients today?
I like that.
And because what happens in business, and you're seeing this, especially small businesses, you get all the fires. You get very, very busy very, very quickly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But if you walk into and starting the day that your number one priority is people, and you make sure that, whatever that means to you and however you define that, but people first, because you can't have a great company and do really well in a competitive environment without having really good people. And then your clients. Do you truly understand your client base? Are you providing value for them? And I think I gave you, I hope it came across as a great compliment because you actually changed my perception and my experience becoming a full member. I was adamant on my,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
So, but again, I believe that given more information, I've been very fortunate to be able to change the course based on that.
Yeah.
As Irish stubborn as I can be at times, I'm told. That's it. Other things, specifically for your business, you're in a tough business because it's relationship. I love some of the stuff that you're doing. I love the events and some of the stuff, connection, the brand new thing. You have a really great opportunity. Whenever you make these kind of changes, you have a great opportunity to really connect with two folks. Connect with your customers, your clients, and also prospects. How's this resonating with potential people?
Right.
Because to me, I always believed that your relationship with your clients was your built-in R&D. If you had really good relationships, they would share with you. In this world, most people that I've talked to, the ones that we kind of want, probably belong to more than one networking group.
Mm-hmm.
For sure. Yeah.
So what is it the other ones, what are you getting or not getting? And what,
Right.
and again, not to make changes necessarily, but to gather the information and like, where does this take it? The other thing that I think you guys do a great job, and I'm a firm believer in, again, I'll give you kudos, I'm a firm believer in what I used to call pilots. Just, if you're excited about it, do it.
Yeah.
And it's not thrown against the wall, it gets thick. There's enthusiasm behind it. And know when to cut it off, but learn from it. But the more you have those things going, the more excitable the culture is and how much quicker you can get to actually changing or making things happen.
Improving. I would say that's the benefit. And I'm really excited about the place where it's like we can do that in a little bit more proactive and contained way rather than we have a lot of moving parts and sometimes it feels like. And at the same time, there's an energy to that, and there's a positive evolution. We're making changes, and it's evolving, and it's dynamic, which helps. It's not this stale thing that this is how we do it, and this is why do we do it that way? Because this is how we do it, right?
Yeah.
So there's two sides of that. So I appreciate that.
Yeah, I think it's funny because Eric and I think, sit in a different position from he does want this foundation, and I think I do too. I do get so much energy from the new thing, and I like to run with it. So right now, even just with these small shifts that we've made with the name and starting this podcast, I am just guns a-blazing. I'm so energized. These past few weeks have been so electric for me, and the way that we're even rolling some of this out is trickling too, so I feel like I get to be even more energized for longer, and so I'm always looking for more of those opportunities to get re-energized.
This podcast is an example of it, though. It's like Christina's had this idea for a couple of years, and I was like, so what would be the easiest way to do it? Like, how do we just do it? Right, and then we can see what happens and test it and see how it goes. Right, just if there's energy, let's do it and see what happens. I want to go back to what you said around. So it was people, clients, and then value, or the top three. Is that something when did you learn that? Was it something that you operated from as a leader from the beginning, or how'd you come to learn that lesson?
I was very, very fortunate to be running a multi-million-dollar business at 25 years old. Right place at the right time, put a business plan together. I was a sales rep for 2 years, and the company I was working for was expanding. And so I'm 25 years old, and I'm the boss. And I thought I was pretty hot shit. And,
Sure.
But I got my head handed to me because I was the classic. I mean, you could write the book on this. Because I was the manager, I thought I had to know everything. Mm-hmm. And then I realized, like, I'm only 25. How the hell am I supposed to know everything? Yeah. So it was really, for me, Eric, trial and error. And then I've always been really good at, I call it the debrief. I heard the Blue Angels? Prepare, execute, debrief. Yeah. I believe in that. Did I plan for this? How did it go? And so reflection of, I had a thing when I was 25 at the manager. I said, okay, from 9 to 5, I'm the boss. But after 5, anything goes. Same. So we went to a lot of happy hours together. And at the happy hours, they just let it loose.
Yeah, that's most people, right? It's like the meeting after the meeting.
And, I was fortunate not to get too defensive, and kind of took it in, and then obviously demonstrated some of those things. Yeah. But the answer to the part 2 on the client piece, I'll never forget this, and I'll share a couple stories for you. So I sold my very first client, small account with a broker in Cincinnati. And he looks at me and he goes, Ed, you're really going to be successful. And he goes, but let me share something with you. I said, okay. And this was like, again, probably a 10-employee group accounting firm or something. I may have made $50. Yeah. And he goes, never, ever put a prospect in front of a client. Mm. He goes, I don't care how big the prospect is. Never, ever put it in front of a customer. And I said, Warren, why? He says, because they've already said yes. So this is where, like 22 years old, I learned the importance of understanding your client.
Don't have a business without the clients.
Right.
And so I share this with a lot of folks. My passion as a leader, and I got compensated immensely for the acquisition of business, very little for the retention of business. Mm. But I took great pride. My office had 95% plus persistency or retention in an industry that was probably closer to 80% is kind of the industry norm. Average, yeah. Because I personally invested and made that culturally part of that thing, but never really was rewarded or recognized for that. So probably 8 years ago, maybe longer than that because time is flying, I listened to the former CEO of Burger King. And he was talking about, how fast they grew and all this other stuff. Really pretty cool guy. At the end of the day, someone asked the question of, like, if you had to do it all over again, what would you have done differently? Yeah. The third thing he said was, I really would have got to know my customer. Mm. So I went up to him after and I shared with my experience. Say, yeah, I never got rid. And he chuckled and he goes, oh my God, my son is like doing the same thing right now. He said, no one wants to recognize, customer and blah, 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 because it's, that the hunt is difficult. But I'm telling you, if you have those client relationships, man, it is powerful in so many different ways.
Yeah. I really appreciate that perspective, because I think so many people in sales, I'm rewarded for getting the next thing, and I focus on the next thing. To me, it's a mixed message, and it's like, how are you taking care of, if I brought on 10 people, how am I taking care of the 10 people? Oh, I have a team for that, right? My service team takes care of it. But it's like, I just come from a place of relationships. If I'm not just selling you on the thing, there's a relationship that's being created. And I'm a big believer in, most of us, the majority of people in business, we have everything that we need. We have 100 members now. We have access to every door we need to have opened. We have the right people, right? Like, it's all here. It's building the relationships. Yeah. It's figuring out how to work with those people, how to activate, or how to have the light bulbs go off to support. But they've already said yes, to your point. And it's a conversation that I see a lot of young salespeople go, oh, my job is sales. I got to do business development. I got to go get the next thing. I'm like, all right, well, how big is your book? Because the book, you already said people that said yes over here. What if they were the ones that got you the next thing? You have 2 people, great. Lean on them. Figure out, deepen that relationship. It's just an opportunity to go deeper.
Yeah, absolutely.
I truly believe, especially in small businesses, because I still facilitate CEO roundtables.
Yeah.
They have no clue I shouldn't say no clue. I should be nicer. There's such an opportunity for them in their current customer base. And we sit month to month, and I want to grow revenues, and I want to do this. I bring it up all the time. I said, so what's your specific goal for revenue coming from your in-force clients? Because I had a minimum revenue. So if I had a $10 million goal, 25% of that goal was coming from upsales on my in-force clients.
Sure, so multi-lining or doing some sort of
whatever
the product mix is.
It was, as the books got bigger, you could slice it and dice it and say, okay, I want X of this product, or I want X of this.
Because it was employee benefits.
Employee benefits.
So they were. So what's the example? Like, what are the different services?
Well, the majority of my life was with a kind of life and disability carriers. So they provided group life insurance and disability lost time stuff. That's why, again, the Special Olympics, my national consulting firm that I started, I worked with Fortune 100 companies, and again, I'm a little guy going against the big boys, but the question I asked them, I said, what do you do when your employees aren't at work? And these are the frickin' United Airlines and the Viacoms, and they go, gee, that's interesting. Well, let me help you out. And, that's how it works, It was a small piece within a bigger stuff. So I was very lucky to learn, because I was a leader in my space. I worked for the number one leader at the time, and in a very small niche. So I understood that there was a bigger thing.
Yeah.
So I was sharing with Mallory. I said, when you're talking to your clients, what's their priorities? What's on their radar? What are they doing? And then whatever you're selling, how does that fit in to make what they're doing better?
Right. Well, so this is something that I've started talking to people with that are part of the community and planting the seed is, okay, as a business owner, you work with a handful of them in the round table circles that you lead. Of all the things that I have going on, employee benefits, payroll, I have insurance, I have all these things that people are trying to sell me and like these different offerings. How important is this one to me right now? That question is really, really important for me you want to be part of 6 Degrees. Here's how great it is. Here's everything that we have going on. You're part of other groups. How important are the groups that you're in right now? How important is joining something new right now? For me, it's probably, I'm going to put it as like, I think it's probably, because I live and breathe this and this is what we do, top 3. For most people, it's like, you were great. I loved everything you're talking about. But it's actually, that's a 15 on my list.
So again, the pitch is what you're good at and what you're selling, what you're providing, the value you've created is connections and the power of the connections. Mm-hmm. So if I'm in any sort of biz dev, this helps with that because it's, relationships to a certain degree. But that's I would look at it, I'd run it through AI of like, you know, how does connection, so that when you have conversation with people, it isn't about networking. It isn't about, you're trying to your point, you're 15th on the list. That doesn't mean you can't be number one,
Right.
because if you connect it to what's really important to them.
Right. Well, so the next question is, okay, I'm 15th. How can this help? What would it take to be number one? But actually filling in the gap of what you're talking about of,
Yeah.
oh, this is the problem. So what's 1, 2, and 3?
Yeah.
This is how this is going to help 1, 2, and 3.
Right.
It's just connecting those dots.
Here's a perfect example. I shouldn't say a perfect example, but an example. I may be struggling in my relationship at home.
Mm-hmm.
You know, we had our second child. We've had all this other stuff. And you've got successful, positive people. You've created what I'll call, for a lack of a better term, kind of a safe zone. A safe environment so people open up.
Yeah.
You're going to meet like-minded people that you can talk about anything.
Yeah.
And for you, it may be a personal thing that you go into. For others, it could be professional sales. But that moves it from 15 to 1, depending on what's number one on their radar.
What's important to
and
them. Yeah.
what you're offering, theoretically, could be integrated. And again, I would love to see what AI would kick out on this thing.
Sorry.
In so many different things, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I appreciate you even saying the word like-minded. It's something that I have recently talked about with people who are curious about what is different here. And I think organizations use like-minded, and it's easy to, or I guess it's so vague as far as like, okay, but like-minded how? We could be like-minded in a million different ways. There could be an organization that's like-minded about wanting to dominate the world and make a bunch of money and burn everything to the ground. Like, that could be like-minded, right? So I think where it's felt in our organization ties back to the values that we've established and how we've grown the community to align with the values. So I can actually say these 8 core values is where we are like-minded, because there's some kind of synergy with the people that we're bringing in, and there's at least several of these that align with that person. And it's been a distinction that it just has come up a lot. So I appreciate you saying like-minded, because it's a 2-word use that is often associated.
Yeah.
It's a buzzword that's associated with a lot of groups and organizations. And I think being able to be very clear about how we are like-minded is important.
I love what you just said, Christina. My mind, I love it when my mind gets going. But what a great question to ask somebody, going from the 15 to the 1.
Yeah.
Would you indulge me, Eric? Here's our 8 values. Right now, with all the things that you're doing in life, which one do you relate to the most? Which one is like at your radar? And kind of give me an example where you're using that in your life.
Yeah.
You squeaked in here before we had this on the application, but now when someone wants to join, it's part of that. That's because it's such a powerful question. You're right.
Yeah, you're lucky on the vetting process today.
We only knew you for 3 years.
Yeah.
To Christina's point, though, it's literally, so here's our purpose, here's our values from an application standpoint. This is who we are. And one of the questions is, which of our values resonates with you the most?
And I understand you're doing that for you. This is the population. I'm saying you're going to get insight to them of what's important to them.
Oh, 100%.
Going from 15 to 1.
Yeah, no, 100%, right? So in a conversation also, and for someone that it's part of we've changed our process a little bit, but part of that process is I want to know what is important to you and why that.
Yeah.
That's the next question to
Why?
it is the values conversation. So much of it is how are the values alive, right?
Here's a question I have for you guys, because this is something that I believe the younger generation, this is an observation, so this is not research. This is why I'm asking the question. I think the younger generations lack something. It's hard for them to be curious, because everything has been given to them, everything. And I'm not saying there aren't some people that are curious, but in general, and now with AI providing so much information freely. Where's the curiosity? You guys have created an incredibly curious environment. I want to get to know Eric. I want to get to know. That's curiosity. And that, candidly, is going to be a skill set or a moving forward as AI continues to drive things. And curiosity is driven by the questions they ask, right?
So much of what we've, from day one, when it was 6 Degrees Networking, we were like, okay, this is the new logo. It's SIX with the degree sign. And we moved away from that pretty quickly. But we really saw ourselves as a relationship development organization. And I Googled that. I'm like, that doesn't exist. It's not necessarily a thing, right? But that's how we think about it, is how can I help you as a member be better about being curious, developing relationships, putting you in positions to build relationships in a way that maybe you're aware of, maybe you're not. We have this example of, we're all, as humans, we're cubes, and there's multiple sides to a cube, so we're multidimensional. If you come to a dinner, I'm going to show one side of your cube. Sit down with us in this podcast, get to go a little bit deeper. Happy hour, same thing. We go play golf together, which we've done. I'm getting to see different sides, so it's actually kind of by design, and it's very intentional in the sense that we're connecting without having to learn how to be curious. I'm just putting you in different places to be able to do that a little bit better.
And I think you're 100% right, Ed, of saying this is a skill that is now having to be taught because of technology and AI. And there are things that I know you haven't experienced our growth groups yet, and there are things that happen, there are exercises that we do that allow for some of that to come out and be taught. A good example is our bullseye questions exercise. And what's always fascinating to me is when someone does this for the first time, they'll write down questions, and it's to, okay, so if I was to ask my current client about employee benefits to potentially be able to connect them with someone in my network, and what are the questions that I would ask? And the very first thing that Eric does after having people fill this out is, okay, great, now go back and circle every question that you wrote that was a close-ended question. There are certainly times where a closed-ended question is necessary to get the yes or no answer. And there's opportunity for open-ended questions that lead to more of that curiosity, right? I'm curious about the why behind this, and the what and the how and who and what, right? Like it can go so much deeper if we can be a little bit more curious rather than just like, do you have this? Have you said this? And it's just a really fun exercise to do, and to just lighten people up of like, oh my gosh, the possibilities that I could be getting to with my clients, or even just with my network, if I can understand how to ask more powerful questions.
Well, and I think, following that up about the questions, and Eric, to your point earlier about the entrepreneurs, this is why you're in a good position. We used to spend an inordinate amount of time on the hows and the whats, but one of the most important accelerator is the who.
Yep.
You have the who.
Yeah.
AI has the whats and the hows to help people out, but ideally, futuristically, you can be the elite of the who's, right? Because you not only have the group, but you know how to connect. You have the curiosity to branch out and, oh, we know this. Here's the 7 people we know that are XYZ.
Well,
Yeah.
you said, to go back to the way this part of the conversation started, you said that you feel like the younger generations aren't curious. So what is it about what's happening in I'm assuming tied to students and
Yes.
being a professor? What are they not doing, or what's showing up that's making you say that?
The college education today was more about, okay, I got to get my grade because I'm doing this, as opposed to what I share with the students. I said, college isn't about the grades and the degree. Yes, you need the degree. College is your opportunity to understand how you learn, because you're going to have to learn the rest of your life.
Learning doesn't stop.
And I said, so this is where you learn what's good for you. Are you visual? Are you whatever?
Mm-hmm.
But college is the greatest place in the world to learn that. But that's not how they're going through college now. They're going through to check off a box so they can do this because they're on to the next. And again, these are generalizations, but from my perspective.
Well, I think part of that too, so you said you labeled it as curiosity, and part of what I'm hearing is drive, and I'm also hearing effort, right? And because of what you specifically said, things are handed, it's easier. It's just this instant gratification.
Yeah.
It's interesting
part of the world.
because my mind actually goes to more of like anxiety and not feeling I can speak up and be curious and do the thing. It's funny because it's like the story that we're making up, right? About, so for you, Ed, you're sitting with people aren't curious. And then for you, Eric, you're sitting with something different. And we're all sitting with something different of the reason why a generation or our experience of a younger generation is behaving in a certain matter.
Yeah, I mean, we're talking hypotheticals, so it's a little hard. I think one of the things that I'm most proud of with what we've built is people show up. And that takes effort. And there's some people I just want to join the thing, and then I want the business to come. What do you mean I have to do things? In a world where everything's so easy and comes so naturally, it's like some people don't want to put in any work, or the type of work that's going to include getting to the other side. Like everything I want is on the other side of hard work is what pops into my brain. And being curiosity and being motivated to figure out how to do that and work through it is part of it. And then same thing with loneliness or anxiety, all the stuff.
Jorge, I met him 12 years ago, and he's one of my closest friends. He shared a quote with me years ago, and he looked at me right in the eye and he goes, Q, friends show up. And that was like, you're right.
Yeah.
And so part of going back to one of the original questions, Eric, how do we evaluate who we spend time with?
Yeah.
If I truly believe friends show up, like it's so hard for me to say no to an invitation because I'm honored to be invited and I know I'm going to have friends there.
Sure.
But capacity, can't do it. So
yeah,
it is an everyday struggle.
And we've had
there's been times. So what I can really, really appreciate about Eric is there have been plenty of times that we have RSVP'd, registered, said that we're going to be somewhere, and that moment comes and I am tired and I say, I don't want to go to this thing. I don't want to be part of it. Can we just stay home? And he's like, no, we said we're going to be there. And if we have already committed and said we're going to be there, we're going to be there and we're going to show up. And I just really, really have appreciated that over these last years of even just knowing you, because it existed before we took over the business. And it means something, right? Because I have been on the receiving end of that. And yeah, it sucks when people don't show up and say that they're going to be there. When we say that we're going to be somewhere, we show up. And when people show up for us, it means the world.
Yeah, I couldn't agree with you more.
So much of it for me is like I'm going to do what I say I'm going to do. I'm going to follow through on that. And I think there's a balance of, to your point about, I overextended myself this week. And if I show up, I'm not showing up as my best. And I need to be able to communicate. So one of our values is our well-being drives high performance. And we've had members be like, I overcommitted myself. I came to this thing. I actually shouldn't be here last minute. And it's like, great. That's a self-awareness piece. That's different than just flaking on the thing.
Yeah, right. The communication piece. And that's the thing is, like, as humans, we're not great at communicating. So when people do communicate, and that's something that has always blown me away too, is when we've hosted any event and someone did register for something, 99% of the time they will text me or email me and tell me like, hey, I'm so sorry, I registered for this and I can't make it. That's amazing. That's incredible. Most people wouldn't do that. And I think it's just the way that we've built this ecosystem, this community, this environment. I mean, it's been really, truly amazing to be part of.
Yeah, I'm enjoying it.
I asked you this, so it feels like we're kind of coming to a close in terms of time and conversation. And so one of the questions that I was curious about, and I asked you this before, and you're like, let me think about it. So I don't know if you thought about this, and it's okay either way. But you've been to a leadership lab.
Yes.
with Rudy. And how would you describe that to someone? Because I don't know that we've done a great job of explaining the tool set, the concepts of conscious communication. As someone that's experienced, how would you describe it?
It's probably more about communication. I think leadership plays, and you want to get leaders there. But I think to Christina's point, I think everybody could admit communication needs improvement, for lack of a better term.
Yeah.
It's really around communication. And I loved whether it's the conflict resolution piece, whether it's the interviewing thing. But I would lead with communication as really what it's about. It's about really improving your communication skills, and that you get to do it. There's power in being in a group. There's just, what is it? Two heads are better than one kind of thing. But there's what you said earlier, Christina, about energy, the check-in, the kind of the energy thing. There's a different energy when there's a group. So you take communication. Myself, but I also observe and see the interaction of the communications so that I can process and say, oh, okay, when Christina said this person reacted pretty cool, or that kind of stuff. And I think that's the power. That's, again, what you're selling. The big thing you're selling in your environments and what you're offering is you have created, I believe, a safe environment. And I think that's something that needs to be stressed in your things, because everybody to a certain degree is looking for that, because there is no privacy.
So I appreciate that perspective, because I think so if I go back to relationship development organization, one of the most important parts of building relationships is communication. And we are very inefficient, would be a nice way of putting it, right?
Well, and I think our interpretation, we'd get 3 different answers of what we believe communication to be.
100%.
Absolutely.
And this is why the more of these kind of things focused on communication will help, again, put everybody's own perspective in mind. They'll be able to process it in ways that's good for them.
Right.
Well, even just to go back to this experience of the behavior that has led to you feeling like there's no curiosity or lack of curiosity, right? And the 3 of us all came up with something different for what that behavior is telling me. So my truth, my experience. I think what's difficult for a lot of people in the communication is understanding and like the intention impact aspect of it. Of I can have the best intentions with the way that I'm communicating about something. It's up to the receiver of how it's being interpreted. That's where we have to start understanding people better and understand how the way that I said something could land completely off of how I intended it to be. And how can we be more aware of that and try harder and better, right? That's really all it is how can I sharpen these skills of communicating? How can I be more effective? How can I actually own the moments that seem like this did not land? Let's rewind this conversation and start again. And try again and again until it either lands or move on or whatever. But I think so much of the work that we're doing is how can we bring that awareness forward and have a better impact with our intention.
I'd be curious with Rudy's expertise around this communication to an earlier back and forth we had when I was sharing about when people are ready to receive, because that's communication. They are ready to receive. So I had my triggers and intuition, but I'm sure Rudy has some research behind what do people do to allow themselves to be ready to receive?
I think, without speaking for Rudy, safe space. So part of creating a safe space and part of the way we've actually created a safe space within the community is through this tool set called Safe Space. Christina alluded to it for a little bit, but so 7:45:48, I'm tracking body language. I'm aware of it, so I'm connecting in a different way. And some of these things are very subtle, and they can have more of an impact than others at certain times. It's in this moment with this person, how do I connect? We're all communicating all the time. It's just a heightened awareness for it. And then our hope within 6 Degrees is because this is a safe space for people to just be themselves, am I awake enough to understand that this entire podcast, this entire conversation, those tool sets are actually in play. There's no on and off if I don't want there to be. That's something that we talk to Rudy a lot about, is turning things off. Or people ask us like, oh, you guys, you do this all day, every day. When you get to take a break and not be on, doesn't feel like you're always on. It's like, I'm just being myself.
Yeah.
I love what I get to do, and I get to be around people. I'm very much an extrovert. This gives me juice. And so I think there's a deeper answer to the question of, what is, when someone is open to receive information, there's probably some physical, like visual things that are happening. There's things I can do to support creating a stronger connection so that someone is willing to open up, which you said was something, they're going to be more vulnerable. So what's happening before they become vulnerable? How do I create a safe space in this moment with this person? Some of the tool set actually allows for that to happen.
I actually have a question for you guys. And this is interesting because you're playing the long-term game. So I understand the membership numbers, but from your value proposition and the relationships and deepening and all this stuff, how are you measuring progress so that you're feeling good that relationships, 6 degree member relationships are getting deeper? How is that being measured?
So this is a great question, because there's another tool that we are actually introducing to 6 Degrees. And basically, it's going to provide a clearer map of where is my network now. It's an assessment. I take the assessment. It shows me different parts of what's strong, what's not so strong. Is it closed? Is it open? How does it map out? Really, like, it shows it. And so being able to have almost a kind of before and after of, if I were to have a gym picture of like before and after. So taking this assessment as someone is joining 6 Degrees, and then a year later taking it again, and how has 6 Degrees helped it grow or work on the pieces and elements of it that need support. We'll have actual data. We haven't really tracked data for a long time, and on purpose. I think a lot of organizations, the type of data that's being tracked is number of referrals that are being passed back and forth, and dollars of business that have happened because of it. And because we've always been a relationship development organization and not so much as networking and referral focused, it hasn't felt aligned to track that as data. So we haven't really figured out, okay, like, what should it be? And so it's been just really good timing to now have this introduction to 6 Degrees and have data to track.
How we've done it so far is retention, right? So how are people sticking around in the groups that they're part of? One of the numbers that I haven't figured out, it's just doing some activities, but so if we're in a group of 12 people, how many shared clients do we have? So if your book of business is 20, Christina's is 10, mine's 30, do I have 2 with Christina? Do I have 3 with you? But as a group, how many shared? That number becomes really interesting to me as a way to see, okay, I trust Ed with this many clients. And it actually would show depth, right? If we first start in that group, I might not have any. It might take 6 months. It might take 9 months. So we don't have that yet. There's something there that I've been trying to play with and tinker with of how do we get that number, because that to me is a more interesting number than referrals shared. I can give you 20 referrals tomorrow and they could be garbage, right?
My takeaway, my homework for this little get together, I did go on the website and I went through everybody because I was curious of what groups they were in.
Yeah.
So I'm going to go back to the directory and I'm going to ask, because it's been about a year that I've been a member.
Yeah.
So I'm going to look at that and say the number of people that I have. I'll go through people I've met and all that kind of stuff, but I will also share with myself of how many people do I have a year later a deeper relationship with at 6 Degrees.
Yeah.
And Eddie would certainly be somebody that, I mean, I knew him. We did a couple of things, but due to your point, because I spent more time with him,
right,
he and I are much deeper
Yeah.
And we've had, so I love just your approach to digging into stuff. I really, really appreciate it. And it's making me like, cool, I have this journal. Like, how do I actually reflect on that? And it's making me do it. So I love that homework. That would be really interesting, just personal for us to kind of know that. Because we know it's happening. We can feel it. And we ask people questions around it. And on one-on-one, we're getting that feedback from, yes, I'm getting deeper relationships. And part of it is like, I don't know how or why. And again, everything that we do is designed in a way. It's like the groups are the way that they are, and they meet on the consistency that they do for a reason. The other events, the dinner that you and Eddie have been at a dinner together, you're going to get to know Eddie deeper. And we've had people like be part of other organizations and come in like, oh, so you're in 6 Degrees too. And all of a sudden that takes the relationship further, right? So it's really interesting to kind of see different perspectives of how 6 Degrees can help people do that without really understanding the why behind it. And the more we can share the why and how, I think the better. I love the homework. I'd be interested in the homework. I've actually been thinking about, so if I just gave you a list of, here's the 100 people in 6 Degrees, how many do you know? How many have you met? Because there's a thing for Christina and I where we know everyone, we've met everyone, and sometimes it's easy for us to forget or realize like, oh, you just joined 3 months ago. There's 100 people here that maybe you know 10. And how do we integrate you? How do we help you get up to speed and meet all these great people where it's not a tidal wave?
I think the communication thing needs to be part of your mainstream stuff, because I do believe you've created a culture of that, and that one of the skills that you gain by being part of this member is your communication skills will improve.
Part of a shift for us is what are the things that we really enjoy and what are we good at? The dinners, the leadership labs we really enjoy and we feel like it's really impactful. How do we do more of that?
Yeah.
And less networking, happy hour type stuff. So we're going to do a happy hour. Let's attach it to a comedy show and have it be an experience. Right.
Get to know each other deeper rather than...
Yeah, to that, the communication, how do we make that more visible? And even we're doing some stuff to do that in the groups. It's just cool. You've been to a couple breakfasts. Here's a reminder. This is a place to practice. This is a safe space to practice and try it and experiment.
Because I think everyone experiences poor communication in their everyday lives.
Well, how many times a day?
You know, as a parent, as a spouse, you know, it's all over the place, right?
These tools for Eric and I to be in a personal relationship and business owners together, I mean, these tools are life-saving. I mean, it's just something that has been so ingrained into what we do. And we still fuck it up all the time. Like,
yeah, we know it. It's the funniest. Like, it happened last night. It literally happened last night.
Yeah. It's just practice. It's doing it over and over again. Just wanting to get better at communicating. And I think that's the difference.
That's the curiosity part too, right? Is some people are like, it is, I am where I am. I'm happy with it. I don't want to be curious. Like everything you're talking about, I'm not interested, and that's okay. It's not for you. But I think to make the communication aspect of what we do more mainstream, that's definitely on the to-do list.
Yeah.
I do want to wrap up just with a reinforcement. I guess from this conversation, what's sticking with you? What's the one sentence or the headline from everything we talked about for each of us?
Well, I think for me, grateful. But I think from a content standpoint, I would say communication. This is just a great example of, I used the word earlier about, I know it's more than one word, but about having great conversations, communication.
Mm-hmm.
The feeling that comes with great conversations.
Yeah, and so I would say that this was from communication would be the great communication today.
Nice.
Yeah. I would say my word or what I'm sitting with is perspective. I think there was some just great different views on topics that were discussed today, so I appreciate that.
For me, I'm sitting with the process of relationships and developing those, just in the journaling piece and the reflective nature of, who did I meet this week? Meet so many people. Where do they go? What's the bucket? What's the frequency? What's the cadence? So I'm sitting with just the reflective nature of your process with journaling and then putting action behind it. It's like, where was my energy? I'm going to do 25 things this year to make it even better. So, cool.
I love it. Well,
Thank
thank
you.
you. This was so good.
Yeah.
We always love talking to you. You were one of the first people that I sat down with when we bought 6 Degrees, and I'll never forget it. And I just really appreciate you being a part of the community.
I am not shy with my thoughts. I hope they're delivered in a kind and humble way.
Absolutely. All right. We've got Ed Quinlan's episode.
The idea guy.
The idea guy. Yeah. Ed's just the best. He's so smart.
Every time we talk to him, he's just living the dream.
Living the dream.
I appreciate that about him.
Ed's one of the first people that I sat down with and talked to when we bought 6 Degrees.
Oh, really?
Uh-huh. I'll never forget. We went to Moniker in Liberty Station. And I remember he was really encouraged by our message that we sent out when we did our vision. He thought that we had some really good direction of where we were headed, and he mentioned liking the vision. And it was also when he stepped away from 6 Degrees. And then, of course, over time has come to events and has participated, and then had some reservations of our decision of making this be exclusive and members only. And so he even mentioned on the episode with him that he's really glad that he made that investment and that he is a member of 6 Degrees, because it did help him in investing more in the relationships that are in 6 Degrees. And he also talked about the people that he's met and how wonderful it's been, and that he doesn't think he would have gotten to that point with the people that he's met if it wasn't for being a member.
Yeah, and that was part of the reason that we made that shift around, you have to be a member. We really want you to be a member and be committed to being part of this, rather than someone like Ed, who was kind of on the fringe, loved what we did, came to some of the stuff, was a big fan, big supporter. And when he committed, is like, all of a sudden the depth to the relationships, all these flowers kind of start blossoming. Right? Interesting how that happens.
Yeah. Well, and it was nice because you asked some pretty just direct questions with him of why 6 Degrees, or what is the differentiator. And so we dive into that a little bit, because part of, I think, the challenge that has come up, or you have said multiple times, is sometimes people don't really know, or what they say is their why behind 6 Degrees is, oh, well, I like you guys. I like you and Christina. I like Christina and Eric.
Yeah, we've had several people of just in passing conversations of why are you part of 6 Degrees? It's, well, I really like Eric and Christina.
Right. Well,
like that's not a bad reason. And how do we build a brand? How do we build a company? How does that expand?
I think my realization recently has been that it has expanded, because if someone likes Eric and Christina, they're probably going to feel that same way about the majority of the people who are part of our organization, because of how intentional we do grow. So I hear you on, obviously we want someone to be able to describe and understand on a deeper level, rather than just, oh, well, I like you two, and see how that ripples into the entire community. And because I like these two humans, they bring together really great people. They attract really great people. So it's not just two of us, it's the community as a whole.
Sure. Yeah. And that's probably, what's the next why question to that? So I like Christina. Why do I like Eric and Christina? Well, they really care. Okay. Why do they care? And what's the result? There's probably because all of these things, all of these dominoes, what am I getting out of being part of this? Right. So much of brand and so much of the psychology is like, what is being part of this thing? What is me wearing Nike? What is me having this designer bag telling the world about me? That's the part of a brand. And so what is it about 6 Degrees? The whole people don't forget about what you do for them. They forget it. They remember how you made them feel.
Mm-hmm.
And there's a version of that that's related to this conversation. Is like you and I, there's something that we do that makes people feel a certain way that goes, oh, I like Eric and Christina. And being part of this community, there's something about being part of 6 Degrees that makes me feel a certain way. And there's also this, what does that do for me in terms of how I benefit by being part of the community? Yeah, and I mean, I don't even know, it's been a while since that conversation has happened. If we ask the majority of members that are part of 6 Degrees now, is that actually the response?
Well, then why still say that in our conversations now with people? There have been multiple times, even I'll say in the past month, that you have said, like, yeah, I've asked people why are they part of 6 Degrees, and they go, well, I like you guys. Like, that's something that you've said recently. So I guess why continue? Why continue saying that?
I guess
if
part
it's
of
not
it is
true?
like, why are we talking about it on this? Why are we broadcasting that if it's not true? Is what I'm sitting with, and maybe it's just a story that I've had, and it's an open wound that someone said 2 years ago that I haven't gotten past.
Yeah, I mean, that is really fascinating because it's certainly not something that I have gotten as feedback of why someone is part of 6 Degrees. Is like, oh, well, I like you two guys. I've latched onto it because you've said it.
Yeah, I think it actually might not be true.
Oh my gosh. So
I don't know. So if you remember, please tell us why you're part of 6 Degrees. And I hope like part of it is us, and I hope there's more. And I think that was, again, there's a specific conversation that I have of someone's like literally like I don't know. I can't answer that question. What I can tell you is I like you and I like Christina. And
so maybe one person has said that, and that stuck with you, and now it has. I mean, because we talk about it on Ed's episode, not just right now in this deep dive.
I want to say it's been more than one, it's been a while. So I don't know.
All right.
We tell ourselves stories, and we focus on
real-time learning.
We learn.
Yep.
We learn.
That's great.
I just went to a very like, ooh, okay. I mean, there's
some self-reflecting.
Some self-reflecting, some work, and some
totally
capturing some of the clarity and repackaging that or rewriting it or writing over the way I've been talking to myself about 6 Degrees. Like that, I think there's some grooves in my brain that need to be melted a little bit.
Yeah, I like that. I'm glad that this conversation came up right now.
Yeah.
So again, I'm not sure if this is the smoothest transition in the world. We're going to go here anyway.
All transitions are smooth.
Okay. So 2 things that go together. Ed, and this is a great quote, and this is something that he learned a long time ago, and it was never ever put a prospect in front of your client. Right? I don't care how big the deal it could be. The client has already said yes.
Mm-hmm.
And what this ties into that also came up on this episode is how much time I'm investing in meeting new people versus the time that I'm investing in the relationships I already have started building or I have built.
Yeah. More isn't always better.
Right.
Better is better.
Better is better. Yeah, I mean, it's honestly, it's what we preach with how can we build deeper relationships instead of continuing to widen and widen and widen and widen my network.
Yeah, I mean, we talk about this a lot, is if any business had someone that was sending double-digit referrals, right? I had a strategic partner that believed in me so much and was my go-to, and they don't have to send me all the deals, and there's like the volume is kind of specific to businesses, but if I have someone that just loves what I'm doing, I only need like 4 or 5 of those people. And that's a business, that's a career, that's a life. And we spend so much time trying to get 2 deals from like this person and then trying to find the next person that we can get 2 deals from.
Mm-hmm.
And it's the same thing from a client standpoint. I loved that quote from Ed. Yeah, it just really registered and really landed for me around, ooh, yeah. So for us, we want to grow, and how are we doing the opposite of what Ed's quote was in terms of trying to bring new people into 6 Degrees and not focusing on our members as much in terms of what they want, what they need. And like we've talked about, just kind of doubling down on supporting the community to grow, right?
Well,
rather than how do we grow internally versus externally?
Yeah. And your point of things changing. And so we've actually made it really hard for our members to bring in new members because things have changed, and the marketing around who this is for, because that's gotten clearer and it hasn't necessarily been delivered to our members as far as like, this is the bullseye. So that makes it that much harder for any of one of our members to be able to bring in people who are going to say yes and be the fit for 6 Degrees and get the support that they need and what they're looking for.
Yeah, for sure. I'm just thinking of what someone said today about being boutique. Boutique, what's the word?
Yeah, boutique.
Boutique. They described us as a boutique organization for community and relationship development.
Yeah, I liked that.
And we're outsourced
Networking,
outsourced relationship development. And well, the thing that what pops into my head is someone said this a while ago. They're like, oh, you have about 100 members, and so if all of your members brought one new member, that would be 200.
Exactly.
This is like, I mean, little pyramid scheming, and also just the simplicity of that is like, oh, it could be that easy. How do we do that? And there's a version of that for everyone that has clients. I think we forget that we all started with one, right? I had a first client, 1 turned into 2, 2 turned into 3. And then we just kind of go down this path of like, I need to get more. And there's actually probably a way to trace, so the 6 degrees of the way that business grows, there's probably a way to trace back like where all of those are coming from.
Yeah.
Right? And especially in the businesses that we work with in our members, is a lot of it is service-based and relationship-based and referral-based. Obviously, if you're turning on ads and doing that, like that's another path. But
yeah, I mean, someone mapped that out beautifully today, and I was so excited to hear them map it out, to say that I met this person through 6 Degrees, then that person introduced me to this person over here, and then because I was in the right place at the right time with this other human, I met 4 other or 5 other, however many people it was, in that room, and they traced it all the way back to 6 Degrees, where oftentimes people don't keep connecting the dots back to the original source.
Sure. Yeah. I think that's been a challenge for us, where people, and we've had it both ways, where people are they're part of 6 Degrees, and the relationship starts in our community, and then I see someone out in the world, and part of it is like, oh, I have a little bit more depth because we went to a dinner, we've gone and got coffee, or we have a little bit more of a relationship, and I show up and there's a familiar face in the room, right? We've had that experience. And then also the other way around of what you just described, where it's like this, because I met this person, it opened up all of these other doors, and I might just think about the last 2 or 3 doors rather than the first door.
Yeah.
Right?
And it's not, truthfully, this is not coming from a place of ego or wanting people to think, oh, it's all 6 Degrees. It's more because of the conversations that we've had when we reach the hurdle of the ROI conversation, and people either not renewing or not joining or whatever because the ROI isn't obvious. It's not tracing it back to the source, or it's not. That's the difficulty part for me. I have a hard time with that being the reason why, like the business piece being the reason why.
You're talking about getting
new business. Yeah, getting new business when it's not so obvious. And I'm not saying that's for every case. I'm definitely not saying that. There could most definitely be situations where that hasn't happened, and that's why they left. Well, that's fine. And I mean, I certainly have seen, I've seen so much value in the relationships that are being built that sometimes when people talk about it as like a direct, this is the ROI, and it's purely a numbers game. And I mean, that does go back to, is that person a fit for the organization if the numbers piece is that important?
Well, yeah, I think part of it is, how am I measuring ROI? How am I measuring return on my investment? Is it just bottom line business? Is it growth? Is it relationships? Is it community? Is it connections? Is it support? Is it social, right? Is it, I'm a solopreneur and I'm around other people, right? Those are all benefits of being part of 6 Degrees, and most people just go, well, do I get the dollar amount, right?
Mm-hmm.
And that's, again, the very much what we believe is, if I invest my time and my energy and my effort and build these relationships and find the 2 or 3 people that I can work with, that I really respect and trust, and my clients with, and they have similar clients, or they have needs of clients, or their clients have needs that I can support. If I can find 2, 4, 10 of those people, that's what it's about.
Mm-hmm.
And if business doesn't come out of that, then help me understand, because there's something missing. That's where some of this communication work with conscious communication is missing, is the gap. I have relationships. There's some depth, maybe more depth than I normally have, but maybe I'm not connecting, or I'm not asking, or I'm not communicating effectively. So much we've talked about, what do you, asking the question, what do you want?
Mm-hmm.
Right? And it might be, I want to work with Christina. And it's like, okay, how has that conversation come up? Have you asked that person, hey, I really want to work with you. I love what you're doing. I respect you so much. How do we make that happen?
Yeah. What would it take?
What can I provide? What do you need? What do you need to see from me? How do I get a shot? Right?
Yeah. How do I get one shot with one client?
Yeah.
To show.
Just
what
having
I can
that, being able to have that dialogue. And when someone called it graduates, when someone graduates 6 Degrees, the hardest part for me is I just don't get to see them as much.
Yeah.
Right? Whether as much as I want to keep in touch, and it's kind of just baked into what we do, is we're around and we're involved, and it makes it really easy to just
to
see
not
people.
see them.
Well, yeah. Well, for someone that's less involved or not involved in 6 Degrees, is I'm going to see them less than I have.
Yep.
Right?
Well, so that's okay. So going back to this ROI conversation, and some of the relationships that I've seen develop within the community, I have seen them blossom into so much more than a business partnership.
Yeah.
And that's because there's consistency in being able to be around that person. And sure, there might be a lot of things happening outside of the 6 Degrees part of it. And how did that start? And how did that develop? And how did this continue over time? And each time I get to see them, regardless if it's more on maybe a friendship side or business side, or right, all those moments add up. And so that's part of another version of an ROI with the person, is this is the space where I don't have to put in as much effort to have that consistency, because it's in place for me. So anyone that falls off with 6 Degrees, it's oh, now if I want to maintain that, I'm definitely going to have to put in a lot of my own effort, because they're not involved in the community anymore.
Yeah, that's interesting, because I think the way it's been framed is part of this is the relationships take time, energy, effort, and we, because of how much we care and the way we think about events to allow people to do that, is a lot of the decision making part of that is built in. Mm-hmm. Right? And that's the hospitality in us, is I just want you to show up and have an amazing time with some amazing people, no matter what it is. Mm-hmm. Right? I mean, I was in one of the groups the other day, and what struck me was just the amount of laughter in the room.
Yeah.
All right. It's so fun to see the group dynamics, and it's funny to kind of watch, not funny, but fun to watch and experience how there's just a lot of just fun.
Mm-hmm.
We're talking about business, talking about things that maybe aren't easy or what's going on, but like there is a playfulness and there's a lightness to just being around, getting to know people in a certain way, and to again a little bit more depth. And like there's obviously opportunity for more depth, but it just really hit me as like where else do I go and there's this much joy around 10 people that wouldn't know each other. Right? Like it's a really cool thing to be creating. And it's also frustrating with the groups as when they change and people come and go, and it's the ebbs and flows of life.
Yeah.
And just graduating. And someone's mentioned this is like, so why when people leave 6 Degrees is like sometimes that maybe they got what they need.
Hunter, right? I mean, yes,
absolutely. And I hope that would be my hope is anyone that comes to 6 Degrees, whether you join for a year or 3 years or 7 years, whatever, whenever the time is up, whenever the time is done, I hope that they got what they needed, or maybe not even what they needed, but they grew in some way. They're better from it, right? We've talked about as we grow our team, same thing, right? Internally for our company.
Yeah, I hope that's the case for the people who graduate. I like that term. Something that was a really big light bulb for me when I was listening back and we were having these conversations around how much time we're spending with new people versus spending time with our current relationships. And what was brought up is how much of the roles we sit in. So I'm the one who's out meeting most of the new people, and you're doing more of the building internally. And my light bulb was how there's such a parallel to the way we both grew up. I'm someone who was changing schools often. I was adapting to new groups of friends and being a chameleon and meeting new people. I mean, that was pretty constant for me.
Sure.
And you have groups of friends that you've established from a very young age that you've just continued to grow up with, and maybe don't see them as often at this point, and at the same time when you do see them, it's like the same old relationship and you've built them over time. From my experience of knowing you, the people that you have kind of gathered with you as your friends and your family and people who are close to you has grown with you over time, and you maintain these relationships. And I'm someone who, like, it was new and new and new. I was having to kind of continue to adapt a new environment. So it was a really, I mean, it's, who's to say if that's why we fell into those roles within our business, but when that came off, I was like, oh, that's interesting.
That's interesting. I mean, I'll point out that you have 4 friends that you've known forever, and so there's.
I'm not saying it's like 100%.
No. Yeah, I'm not hearing it that way. That's an interesting. I think it goes to heard this thing recently about, and I shared it with someone yesterday about human behavior. And understanding human behavior. I think I shared this with you, but if I understand growing up, how did you make friends? What did you do to get rewards? And then what did you do to feel safe? At 7, 8, 9, 10, we kind of build whatever behavior that got me those things becomes who I am without even thinking about it. So the childhood behavior of how did I make friends, and the way that I maintain those relationships probably is the same.
Yeah. Right? I mean, that's, I mean, what you just said proves my light bulb a little bit more, because I was on the move a lot, and I was meeting new people a lot, and there was just so much newness in the relationships that I was forming. It was more of a revolving door. Yes.
And I think that's interesting, because I think that's, as much as I would say I love people and meeting new people, there is a overwhelm that happens if I was doing what you were doing in terms of meeting 10 new people a week or whatever it is, 5 to 10 new people every week. because I tend to, the fallback is what Ed's quote was around like, no, but what about all these people? It's an interesting balance of, I want to meet new people and we want to bring new people into the community. And what about all these people that are part of it?
Mm-hmm.
And how do I, that scale of managing relationships, you and I have a relationship around where's the level of depth, and then all of our members, each of our members have a relationship with us around what's our level of depth. I think what I've shared is I would love to be at a place, anyone that's important is we can exchange text messages on any day, and if a funny thing happens or a meme reminds me of you, I can send you that. And there's a connection to that, right?
Mm-hmm.
It's hard to measure. I just know that when that relationship is in place, it's different. And there's like a sinking feeling that I have with that. And I have that with a handful of members, and I don't need it with everyone. I just know for me, like there's a very, very specific kind of vibe to that, right?
Well, for anyone who's made it this far in this episode, text Eric a meme of bread, because that is his love language. So that will let us know that you're listening and that you want to build a meme relationship.
Biggest smile if I get bread pictures. I love bread.
That's his love language. So for anyone who wants to send him that, he'll know that you care and you're listening.
That's
and
fun. I hope for the rest of, as long as this podcast is online, I just get pictures of bread. Send me your favorite bread spots.
Oh, that's so good. Well, there's definitely been multiple aha moments in this conversation that I don't even think each of us realized
It's not where I was coming in thinking that I was gonna have. I was like, oh shit, I got to work on that for myself, and more work for me. Well, so I guess is it work? Is work the right word?
Right.
Based on that, we had a conversation with someone.
Is it work to work on to call it that I'm working on myself and
get to play around with.
Yeah,
noodle.
I
get to noodle on.
I get to noodle. Get to be creative and
experimental.
How can I be a better person, right? How can I show up? How can I learn from?
Well, that's the other part. I know we're trying to end this, but like the better person part is like we're all just doing the best we can.
Yeah.
Every single person is like, in this moment right now, I'm doing the best I can. You're doing the best you can. And how do we get a little, like the 1%, a little bit better every day? So I'm sitting with that. That's what I need to do.
Yeah.
Not beat myself up about all the
past.
All the ways that I'm not as good of a person or as where I want to be and all this stuff. So anyway, send me bread.
Send Eric bread.
Send me bread.
Watch. Oh my God! What if we got actual bread?
No, don't do that. You need to cut it.
All right.
I'd be excited, but I don't want to tell people to do that.
1% better. How can I be 1% better? Let's go.
How did you get 1% better today?
Ooh, today? Honestly, a lot of these conversations, I feel like.
Yeah, I would agree.
Were
talking. It's interesting that the recap part and listening back it's not interesting. I'm loving the fact that there's a learning cycle for us that these deep dives are actually producing around, oh shit, okay, there's some reflective ahas for us internally around these conversations.
Well, this is maybe the most favorite thing that we do together at this point. I feel, I've already said this multiple times, I feel very, very present when I'm in this space. And so for me, this is the most present that you and I are, like, uninterrupted. We're sitting here, we're talking, we're face to face, We're diving into deep conversations about things that really matter to us. And I genuinely, this is some of my favorite time with you.
Well, also what's interesting is there's nothing in between us. And I don't know when there is a time in the way that our lives are set up when we are face to face with nothing obstructing in between us.
Yeah, no table, no.
Right. Obviously, the
whatever.
kitchen table, we said it all that, and it's just, but there's a interesting.
Interesting.
I
What
would
a
ag- I would ag- I
concept.
would agree. I really appreciate and enjoy this time. So
Yeah.
thanks for just fucking doing it. Thanks for making me do it.
Thanks for
letting me do it. Thanks for getting the ball rolling.
He says
I couldn't do it without you.
he says that as he like rubs his face.
I'm exhausted. I'm so tired right now. I kind of feel like maybe I'm getting sick, which is not good.
I don't know what the hell you just said.
I think I might be getting sick. I'm like the
Oh,
tired
no.
sick feeling right now.
Oh. Okay, well, let's just put her there, bub.
Oh, we forgot to do the put her there, bud.
Well, I was trying so hard to put it in the conversation.
I've been done for like 2 minutes.
Oh, I mean, this doesn't end until we say it, and so
You
I was trying so hard, but you just kept talking. But then you were like kind of like mumbling about things, and I'm just like, bruh,
Hey,
hey,
put her there, bub.
put it there, bub.